Well, welcome everybody. We have actually a special bonus for you. The beginning of the year, the school year hasn't started, but we have a program going on called Playground Drama Camp, and it brings out a lot of people, both current students and, as you can see, 2 alumni. So on your left, we have Marc de la Concha. Marc has been working with this for how many years, Marc?
This is our 6th summer.
6th summer. You too, Dan, 6th summer?
This is the 6th summer I would be sort of involved, but the 3rd summer that I'm here.
3rd summer that you're here. So, and then to the right is Dan Lendzian. Both of them are class of approximately 05, 06.
Yes.
Good. So, welcome back, guys. It's always great to have alumni. First thing I'm going to do is try and get each of you guys to give me a little brief summary about what you've been doing since you've left Fredonia. We'll start with you, Dan.
Great, okay. When I left Fredonia, I was really interested in pursuing a lot of classical theater stuff, so I worked for a number of different classical theaters around the country. Shakespeare in the Valley was one of them. I did some stuff in New York with the Frog and Peach Theater Company, and I spent a calendar year at the Shakespeare Theater of New Jersey. I did their educational tour of Romeo and Juliet and another play I can't remember. There's so many plays I can't remember now, but Romeo and Juliet and Midsummer Night's Dream.
Thank you.
And then New Jersey. And then and then I did their main stage productions of King Lear and Romeo and Juliet. And in 2010, I went back to grad school. I've been at the University of Texas at Austin for the last 2 years, getting my MFA in acting. And I spent the summers at the Winnipesaukee Playhouse. And last summer, I was nominated for the Supporting Actor New Hampshire Theater Award for my role in Shipwrecked.
Okay.
I lost, but I was nominated.
That's real important. No,
yeah.
You know, I think that's really good. It shows you getting recognized. Marc, your turn.
I have done a couple national tours. I did Cinderella and the Jungle Book, Peter Pan, and 2 years with the Drowsy Chaperone that run throughout the year. Spent my summers at the Millbrook Playhouse in Mill Hall, PA, about 6 years out there. And in between that, when I'm in the city, I work with a bunch of programs in inner city schools doing drama with children.
Great. Let me ask you, Marc, because you've been involved in this a little bit longer. How did you get to gravitate to doing the playground drama camp, and how did your interest change to something with children?
We've done, we worked together at a camp when we were here at Fredonia out in the Poconos. We've just always been drawn to spending the summers working at camps with kids and doing drama that way. So it's kind of just always been with us. And then the opportunity arose, and we spoke to Ted Sharon about it a couple of years ago, about maybe starting a program here. And the college was really gracious and wanted to, to start it out. So that's kind of how it started. We sat around Ted liked to tell the story in a Chinese restaurant in the city. We'd gotten together, wrote some ideas on some napkins, and then like 3 or 4 months later, Ted said, "All right, it's happening. We'll see you in the summer." And that's how it happened. But it's something we've always done during our summers, during our undergrad years here.
Yeah, and Dan, you got hooked in.
Yeah, I always was sort of interested in teaching and working with students. I think I fancied myself somewhat of an adjunct professor as a student here, so.
That's true.
So I think that I've always really enjoyed teaching and been drawn to teaching. So I think that I was interested in working on that level, and I think, when Ted and we got together in this Chinese food restaurant, I think it was like it just seemed like the natural progression of things with the work that we kind of started doing that year at school and sort of after school with the first play we did together, which was IT Idol, which we did for the internet. We wrote a sort of an American Idol spoof that we did for an IT conference here, and that kind of jump-started our work together. So nice. We were really interested in working, I think, in teaching, and I think that this step of whenever you sort of learn a skill, I think the next step is to really start teaching that skill, to sort of spread the knowledge that you have. Knowledge is useless if you just kind of own it yourself. It's got to be spread around.
Well, let me follow up with that and ask you, because we have a bunch of current students here now. How are they doing, and what do you personally see as a value to them right now? What do you think they're getting out of it as students here at Fredonia?
I think one of the great things about this program, and I was thinking about this, is that some of our younger playground staff members have never done like a summer stock sort of scenario. And basically we've, in some ways, kind of boiled down the summer stock rehearsal process for kids. I mean, the shows are a little bit shorter, but it's amazing what you can do when you put your mind to it and you can accomplish in a week. And we put up a Broadway-style junior show or a Broadway, what's the other one called?
Kids.
Broadway Kids show in a week, and they're 45 minutes to an hour. And learning these dances, doing all this stuff in a week is really great, and I think that's a great experience so that they can take the experience they've had with us working as producers, which is what we call the sort of counselors at Playground Drama Day Camp, to a professional setting and just say, like, I know I can do this. I've done a show in a week, and I've done a quality show in a week, you know? And I think that skill, to know that you can do that with that confidence, is just invaluable.
Mark, what do you, your experience with this, what have been the greatest challenges, and you can also talk a little bit perhaps about the greatest reward for you involved in all this?
I mean, the challenge is getting the kids to not only do a play, but just communicate with each other. We're always in our phones and Facebook, and it's all like, media driven now. That the challenge is, sometimes it is just getting the kids in the room to tell a story and look at somebody and communicate with them. So that's one big challenge. And then it's also just mounting an entire production. And we say a week, but it's less than a week because we do it on Saturday and it's done at that point. So it's really like 4 to 5 days. Right. And the reward is the final product, because you have kids all week, and we always go through the week and we're like, we don't know if it's going to happen, and then it does, and parents are happy and kids are happy, and they always want to come back the next year, and so it makes it worth, the really hard work that you put into it is the final product, and seeing the kids in their costumes on stage and communicating and telling these great stories that some of them don't even know. Some of these kids don't really know the story of Beauty and the Beast. We had to get them to watch it.
Wow.
Yeah. I love to tell a quick story, too. So there was a bunch of kids at lunch a few days ago sitting on the steps, and they all had their iPhones out, and they were all listening to, like, songs from Rent, which was really, it's sort of funny, but I was, like, thinking to myself, like, that would have been great to have that kind of community when I was, like, 14 or 15, to have all my friends who are all interested kind of in theater, and we're doing a show together, and there's that sort of summer stock bond that you develop with people, and they're all sitting at lunch kind of doing that, and that was a huge reward for me to say, like, well, we're like creating, all of the producers and Ted, we're all creating this kind of community where these kids can come and kind of be themselves and then, share this love of theater at such a young age. I think it's really exciting, and that's a big reward for me.
Cool. Can you, we only have a couple of minutes left.
We can do 2 parts.
Well, I can go a couple more minutes. Let's put it that way. Go as long as I want. I wonder if you would talk just a little bit about your experience here at Fredonia as students, what you experienced, how, what it brought out to you. We're always sort of interested in getting a little feedback from alumni about what they learned here and how it's applied to them in the real world. Either one, I don't care. Who wants to start?
I think for me, a lot of it was trying to do your work in the department, but then also realize that when you get out of the, into the real world, you have to create your own work. And a lot of that for me was set the groundwork here of, doing stuff with PAC and orchestras and all those student groups, and coming up with ways to make it work when you're out in the city and you're auditioning, but you need to come up with the other source of income, or like your real person job. But I've done that, and I have a couple of smaller things that I do on the side that are now performance-based that then allow me to spend my days auditioning. So a lot of it was getting the people, meeting the people here to be able to do that when you get out into the real world.
Yeah, I think one of the biggest things I kind of really adopted at Fredonia was I was given the opportunity to always be working. I was talking about this recently to somebody, and I was thinking, like, my junior year in the department, my senior year at school, I did Our Town, I think Betty's Summer Vacation, 2 one-acts for that first semester, and random act shows. And then the second semester, I did A New Brain, Damn Yankees, Unforgettable, Tom, and
that was fun.
Yeah, and a couple, and then I think some more, and then I think a half-hour one-act. So it was amazing to always be able to be in classes and then apply the skills in a variety of places each night, but also in a great genre of work and shows. Like, you're doing improv comedy, and then you're swinging back into Thornton Wilder play, and then you're swinging into this musical, and then you're kind of doing this other thing. So I think that was really where I learned how to shift into those things, and I was really thankful for those experiences, just the opportunity to always be in a play if I so chose.
So, Dan, we know you're going into your final year for your MFA, but and that's a good thing too. Don't want to slight that, but I know Mark's got a big, exciting adventure coming up that I wanted to talk a little bit about.
Yes, I'm headed to South Korea in a couple weeks, very, very soon. I'm going to be working with alumni Stephanie Fotz, who is out there right now. She's going to be my boss at the Kyungi English Village, and that's kind of like, they like to call it a theme park without rides, and there's a bunch of exhibits there, and people go to learn English. And within that, there is a theater that does a bunch of shows. There's like 3 shows running at one time. So it's a company of people that will write, produce, direct, choreograph all the shows, and they're all original works.
Great.
So I'll be doing that for a year.
That's terrific. I mean, I remember when Stephanie first got that job, and I went, wow, that is so cool. And now, you know, you're going to work for her. I think that is absolutely the coolest thing. So not to ignore you, Dan, have you got anything set up that you're really looking forward to in your third year?
Well, for this interview is something I have been looking forward to for quite a while. But in addition to that, I will be doing ragtime at the Zach Scott Theater in Austin. So we're leaving campus and we're working at a professional theater there, and I'll be playing Willie Conklin, the flyer chief in that, which is really exciting. Yeah, and then I'm going, in the second part of the year, I'll be doing a play. We're leaving Austin for 3 weeks, and we're going to be working at the Seattle Children's Theater in Seattle, Washington, and we're going to be doing, there's a playwriting professor there named Susan Zeter, who wrote a trilogy called, I think it's the Where trilogy, and we're doing a play called The Edge of Peace. So I'll be in that in both Austin and Seattle. I'm traveling with that.
Great.
So that's kind of what's lined up there. In addition to, I teach a voice class in Austin, I'm teaching acting classes in Austin, taking my own classes, and just working.
Got any idea after grad school
where I'll go? You know, I'm from like New York originally. I think I'd like to go back and, you know, really kind of work in New York. I love New York and I love being there, and so I think that's where I'll probably go after, you know. I mean, maybe after this, I'll see I have a face for TV and want to move to LA.
Yeah, you might.
Are you telling me something, Tom? It looks that good?
Oh, we'll discuss that off camera. Mark, Dan, thanks an awful lot for dropping in. Really appreciate it, and good luck with the show coming up.
Great.
Thanks. Bye.